Good morning to Broncos country. Welcome to Legends of Mile High, where we're going to talk about the feud that has been raging for a little while between Sean Payton and Nathaniel Hackett. Now, is it absurd? Maybe. Is the media trying to milk it for everything it's worth? Probably. But does it really mean anything? That's the big question. Should Broncos country even be concerned, or should we care? Let's get into that a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about what transpired and why there is a feud at all, and then we'll have a little discussion about it for sure. But in the meantime, I am I'm going to remind everybody about the meet and greet. Don't forget about the Mile High Huddle meet and greet in just a couple weeks, man. It is coming up fast. We're going to have some more information, obviously, but we're going to be in the parking lot at Mile High Stadium. I know it's in Power Field, but I still like to call it Mile High. We're going to be out there meeting all you folks who, watch these shows, support these shows, or, if you just want to come out and say hi and talk some football, we'll be out there. Look for the Mile High Huddle tent. We'll have some more information soon, but it is going to be fun. So don't miss out on that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting. I'm going to say hi to some of the folks in the chat this morning. We've got David Youngkin came in early this morning. Thank you so much for being here, David. And you're actually coming in here with some really interesting insight, obviously, because David says it's hard enough already to win in the NFL. So this puts pressure on the teams to make it right for someone that stands on the sidelines and doesn't play the game. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, this stuff didn't need to come out. No, nobody had to say any of this stuff. I mean, the players are one thing because they can go out on the field and back it up, but it's, the coaches out there talking and, getting into this feud. What are they? They're just going to have to try and coach a little harder. I mean, they probably do anyway. So you're right, David. It's like, why bother? But let's just remind everybody what happened. So obviously, Nathaniel Hackett was a terrible coach. It was obvious how bad he was. He could, when the crowd is counting down the game clock to get the ball snapped on time without getting a penalty, that tells you that something's wrong. So, so it was a bad coaching job. There's no way around it. It just really was. But Sean Payton came out and talked about how awful it was, historically bad, worst coaching job ever, kind of thing. Talking a little smack about Nathaniel Hackett's tenure in Broncos country. Well, just so happens that the Jets were on the schedule, so the media is feeding into that and making sure that everybody knows there was this feud going on, and it's been going on back and forth, but now it's starting to really kind of reach its crescendo here because we're almost to the game this Sunday with the Jets. And now we have somebody coming out and saying, and I'm going to look at this quote just to make sure I get it right. They threw him under the bus. That organization did him dirty. And that's talking about Nathaniel Hackett. Well, first of all, that's absurd. The organization didn't do Nathaniel Hackett dirty. Nathaniel Hackett was a terrible coach. So why anybody would come out and say that after watching what happened and watching his interim come in and, who'd never coached before, do a better job for the last couple of weeks than the coach that was hired to do the job did. It's laughable to think that somehow this organization did Nathaniel Hackett dirty. Now, the problem really kind of lies with the Broncos aren't much better, right? I mean, they seem to be better. The offense is better. The defense is worse, but they've got a losing record. So, it's if Sean Payton had come in and they were 3-1, this probably be a non-story. They'd probably try and make it a little bit more than it is. But in the end, Sean Payton isn't doing much better job right now. I think he's doing a better job. I just think that the players are struggling on defense because Vance Joseph isn't a great coach, which we know. Anyway, that's what's kind of making this thing really, I would say, adding more fuel to the fire, right? Say hi to Dominique Martin. Thank you, Dom, for coming in. Saying morning, Broncos family. Mile high salute to you all. Hey, Tom. Coach has the team under pressure for talking smack. We better beat the gosh dang Jets. Yeah, I mean, why? I don't know. It seems like an unnecessary thing to say, but Sean Payton likes to, he stirs the pot a little bit, right? He says what he feels and what he thinks, and he went out and said all this stuff. The funny thing is the local media is all up in arms about it too, because they don't get access to Sean Payton like they used to. But Sean Payton's going out in the national media, saying this stuff. So you got local media upset about Sean Payton saying something. So of course they're going to talk about it. You've got the Jets media upset because they got to talk about their offensive coordinator and support him. It's actually kind of laughable, but the Broncos better beat the Jets. I mean, at home, they haven't won at home yet. The Jets have a good defense. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they've got a solid defense, and it's going to be one of those games where you think, yeah, it should be a pushover with Zach Wilson at quarterback, but they probably aren't going to be. But the Broncos have to win at home. I mean, come on, they're 1-3. They need this win badly. And if they really are going to kind of turn this thing around, which I have my doubts that they can, but I'm hoping that they will. It starts with beating the Jets in Denver. It has to. So let's discuss anything you want to talk about when it comes to the Broncos game against the Jets, or if you want to talk about history, throw them in the chat or whatever. But we're going to get into this a little bit more. So thank you, Dom, for being here. Appreciate it. We got Michael Ronquillo coming in saying, good morning, Thomas, on Legends of Mile High. Go Broncos. Thank you for the Facebook stars, Michael. So support, and thank you for being here. Really appreciate you coming in this morning to talk a little bit about this nonsense, right? I kind of feel like it's nonsense. I mean, talking in the media and doing all this, I don't really care. I actually don't really care what's being said, but to some of the folks' point in this chat, it does put a little more pressure on the players. I mean, they weren't the one doing the talking, but I don't even think it needed to be said. Everybody that watched the Broncos last year knew Nathaniel Hackett was inept. It was blatantly obvious to everybody who's watching that, especially when there was such high hopes for the Broncos to go out there and be much better. So it was pretty fun to watch this thing from afar, but really that's all it is. It's just humorous at this point, to me anyway. That's my perspective. I mean, don't go out and talk. There's no need for it, but you did it. So now let's have let's spread it around the media a whole bunch, laugh about it, and let's move on. And actually, let's hope that the Broncos can actually take care of business. That's what it boils down to. Who cares about the beef? The Broncos aren't very good. The Jets really aren't very good. So one of the two is going to have to win on Sunday. I hope it's not a tie. I don't like ties. I don't know if people care about ties or not, but I just don't like them. I don't like the way it looks on the record. It's weird. It's like, and one, like, let's win or lose. That's it. I don't like the tie. I don't like it. I don't like it in any sport. So I know that doesn't happen that often in football, but it's just my own personal preference. So say hi to Roy Osborne for being here this morning. Also good morning, saying good morning to Michael. So thank you for being here, Roy. We really appreciate it. And I'm here, of course, this is my show. I'm here by myself every morning now. So I've got a lot of stuff to take care of, Facebook and make sure everything's running right in the background. I know I've got some sort of delay on my computer all of a sudden, which is really strange. So Roy, thank you for saying good morning and talking about my hat. I really appreciate it. I think Roy's talking about going to the meet and greet, but he's going to be out east. So, it's all right, Roy. If you can't make it, you can't make it. But maybe some other time when we go out there to the meet and greet, you'll be out there. So thank you very much. And we got Joey LaGuardia coming in saying, I don't think we beat the Jets, to be honest. Their defense is way better than any team we've played. I see some interceptions happening this game. Joey, I'm with you on the defense. I mean, their defense is a lot better, but the Jets are a beatable team, right? They had the Bills messed up that first game. I mean, that they did some things. I've got some numbers that are coming out in an article that'll kind of explain why the Jets did well against a couple teams, but they also lost to the Patriots, who's not a very good team. I mean, they're well coached. Don't get me wrong. I know that Bill Belichick's taking a lot of brunt of a lot of the problems that are going on there, but he's still a good coach. But I don't know. I still haven't made up my mind. My problem is I have a hard time betting on the Broncos to win any game because the players that make up this roster have lost a lot, and it's kind of ingrained in their psyche. So they need to get out of that. So it's hard for me to pick, but I'm going to do my predictions today. And then, of course, on Orange and Blue View, when we do our pregame, Ron White and I do our pregame show, preview all of the information that you need. We'll do our prediction then as well. So thank you, Joey, for coming in here and being here with me this morning. I really appreciate it. Jeremy Sean's here. Good morning, Thomas. He says, thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it. And Jeremy's says, I feel like Aaron took it personally, but do random Jets actually think that what Sean said was crazy? It might have been a bit unnecessary, but come on, it's pro sports. Yeah, I know it's so true. Like they're making a big deal out of it, right? I don't know. Maybe it's motivation for them. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of ludicrous because, like I said early, everybody that watched that team last year, that watched the Broncos and watched how Hackett was coaching them, saw exactly what Sean Payton saw. He's one of the worst coaches in Denver Broncos history. I mean, that's pretty bad because they had some pretty bad coaches, and he's one of the worst, and he got fired for good reason. He was bad. So going out there and telling people the truth about what happened, maybe it was too blunt, and maybe, he could have been done with a little more tact, but the truth is the truth. He was, and people trying to make it out to be that somehow the Broncos organization was, did Hackett dirty, like what Rich Kamini or whatever his name is tweeted out. Like, come on. I mean, did you watch the games last year? It's ridiculous. So I'm with you, Jeremy. I'm kind of at the point now where it's kind of absurd, but it's going to get worse. You watch. I mean, there's going to be more stuff in the media coming out. People are being asked, the questions are being asked now of the players, and they're kind of deflecting it, but the media is going to just kind of milk this for everything it's worth, just like I'm doing right now. I mean, we're talking about it, right? Because it is kind of absurd. So it's I don't know. It's interesting. It's funny. So Jeffrey is coming in saying, any idea what players coming off injuries will be good to go this Sunday? Happy Friday. Go Broncos. Yeah, I mean, we're going to cover that because there's going to be another injury report today. So we're going to cover that on Orange and Blue View in our pregame show. But it looks like most of the players who are injured or coming back from IR or the PUP list are pretty close to being ready to go. Like PJ Locke's a full participant. So I assume he is going to be active. Now, Baron Browning probably's got a little bit more football shape to get into. I mean, think about it this way. PJ Locke, was playing in the preseason. Baron Browning hasn't played at all in training camp or anything because he was on the PUP list. So he's going to take a little bit more time to get back to it. But most of the players like Frank Clark, Cushenberry, all these players that were injured look like they're, trending to play. Justin Simmons, I think there's only one player that's a big question mark, and I think that's right now is Javonte Williams. But there's, it looks like they're starting to come back. So I anticipate some of them being back, but not all of them yet. We got Michael coming back in saying the Broncos can run against the Jets because they are not good against the run. Yeah, and I don't want to spoil anything because I've got an article coming out, but I will tell you this: it's not just they're actually not terrible against the run. I mean, they look like that they are, but like on a per carry basis, they're not one of the worst in the league. But commitment to the run is what the teams need to do. If you look at the Bills, they abandoned the run when they were up. They were up like I think 13-0 or 10-0 or something, and then they just completely abandoned the run in the third quarter. They ran the ball like 3 times. Same thing happened with the Kansas City Chiefs. They were running the ball, and they were up. It looked like there was going to be a blowout, and then they abandoned the run in the third quarter, and all of a sudden the Jets are back in it tied, right? So it's not necessarily that how bad they are against actually stopping the run. It's the teams need to be committed. And you look at the teams that beat them, they stayed committed to the run throughout the game. The New England Patriots really stayed committed to the run, and so the Jets have given up the most carries on the season, most rushing attempts, not necessarily the best, like efficient running game against them. But yeah, you're right. The Broncos have to be committed to the run. Zach Franco coming in saying maybe it's a distraction. Well, I hope it's not, man. I hope people or players on the Broncos team are just brushing it off as absurd, like they're making a mountain out of a molehill, so to speak, in the media about this whole thing. Maybe it is a distraction. I hope not. I hope that the professionalism is, it wins out in this whole situation. Oh yeah, Roy thinking just like mountain out of a molehill or out. Man, I always called it a molehill from my family. So ant mound, whatever. It's the same thing. They're blowing it up to get more and more clicks on this, and people are in here talking about it with me, so it's kind of fun, but it is absurd. It's absurd. I can't. There's nothing else I can say about it. So, and then Michael's come back in saying former Broncos player Connor McGovern said he's going to play for Nathaniel Hackett and get revenge for him against the Broncos. Yeah, but I don't understand that. Like Connor McGovern has reason to go out and play hard against the Broncos without the Nathaniel Hackett nonsense. He came from the Broncos, right? They let him walk in free agency. And what is his role in this whole thing, other than that now Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator for the team? What, you're gonna try and protect Nathaniel Hackett from criticism, and you're gonna go out and play for him? Like, the criticism in my mind was warranted. Like, he was terrible. So I don't know. They're definitely trying to make it a big deal. And Jeremy's coming in. Sean said it was one of the worst coaching jobs in NFL history, and Vance said, "Hold my beer." Yeah, Vance Joseph I'm telling you, it has been pretty bad. And I know people are pointing to the second half against the Bears as this moment in his tenure here as a defensive coordinator that was awesome. I didn't find it to be that good. I think individual performances stepped up more than Vance Joseph's scheme, maybe, but the Benito basically saved the defense with that strip sack, and that was an individual performance. It wasn't that Vance Joseph somehow dialed up this new scheme that got him into the backfield and made that sack. So it's one of those things that Vance Joseph is still pretty inept from my perspective, and I think we better see a better performance. If Zach Wilson goes out and looks like, Joe Namath or Joe Montana, then, Vance Joseph needs to be let go, because, Zach Wilson's just not that great of a quarterback. He isn't. And under pressure, he makes bad decisions. So I just don't want to see them lose another game to an inferior opponent. That's just in my mind. Isaiah's coming in saying, "Good morning, Broncos country. How you doing, Tom?" I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to be here with you guys, having fun, talking all about this nonsense that with the Broncos and the Nathaniel Hackett and Sean Payton feud that is reached the absurd for sure. And Gabe Rocks is coming in. Payton likes to abandon the run, he says, so far. LOL. Yeah, that's the problem. You can't. Some of it was dictated because they got behind so quickly, but he needs to stay dedicated to the run. And if they just can churn out those runs and keep wearing down the defense a little bit, I think they've got a good shot. Michael Ronquillo coming back in with Facebook stars. Thank you so much, Michael, for the support. And Michael's asking the question, Thomas, your thoughts on running back Jaleel McLaughlin and wide receiver Marvin Mims through the first four games in the NFL season? Well, I'll tell you, both of them have been very, very good. I have enjoyed watching both of them. I think Marvin Mims, I'll tell you, if Marvin Mims would get more opportunities, he would be in the rookie of the year discussion for the offense because he's that good. I mean, why he's not getting more opportunities is beyond me. He's definitely the best receiver on the team right now from my perspective. So Marvin Mims has far and away went above what I thought he was going to do in his first year. And then his addition on punt returns is incredible. I mean, he's doing an incredible job on that as well. So already scored a touchdown in special teams. So Marvin Mims, I'm very, very impressed with how well he's doing. Now, Jaleel McLaughlin, he has not got many opportunities either. He's getting a little bit more now because of the injuries to that group. But, I love the way he runs. Like he's got that elusiveness, he's got speed, but he's got heart too. He doesn't go down easy, even though he's a smaller guy. He seems to run with a lot of power for his size. He doesn't go down on first contact easy from what I can see. I think it's an impressive job from both of them. So Marvin Mims needs to get some more opportunities, and then you're going to start hearing a lot more about him, hopefully, within the the media and everything else. So Greg Smith's coming in saying, sorry, Thomas, I'm on this Vegas time. Good morning, Broncos country. You're in Vegas? All right. Well, I love going to Las Vegas. I know it's cheesy and, glitz and glamour and everything, but I love going to Vegas. It's fun. I like to play craps, so it's a good time. But I liked going to Vegas and in Reno for that matter a long time ago when it was cheap. Now it's so expensive to go there, so you got to be careful. You can spend a lot of money in Vegas, but have fun. I'm glad that you were able to join. Appreciate it. And Jeremy's coming back in saying, I don't think it was coincidence that Bassey and Gregory were shown the door. Payton is motivating the guys with opportunity and fear. Well, Randy Gregory just didn't care. I mean, that's what my perception of that whole situation was. Randy Gregory, they were losing, and he really wasn't motivated to play. He's got talent, but he just didn't have the want to. So letting him go, and he's not officially released. He's still on the injury report. So, I think they're still trying to work out a trade possibly with somebody, but right now he's not going to be on the team. He's definitely not going to be playing on Sunday. Now, Bassey, the problem more with Bassey for me was he made the team more because of the injuries to the secondary than his play. Now, I know people are like, oh, Bassey got 3 interceptions in preseason, but if you really watch those games, there was times where he struggled in coverage in preseason, and I wasn't impressed. I was impressed with his ability to be in the right place at the right time, but he hasn't really have been in the right place at the right time in the regular season. So for me, it was a lapse in coverages and how he played. So I think they have other people that are more ready to step in now. Quan Williams is going to be back pretty soon. I think Bassey he just had too many lapses in coverage. So it wasn't really a motivation thing. It was a performance thing, as you said. So I'm glad that they send a message. I really am, because the Broncos need that, right? They have to be motivated to play for their jobs right now, because a lot of people's jobs are in jeopardy. I even if the Broncos somehow figure out how to, be like 3-5 or whatever it is at the break, or maybe even 4-4, they still have an opportunity to offload some players in trade and get some draft capital. And I think they would do it. I think they would do it anyway, even if they thought that they could make it to the playoffs, with a good run, which I don't think they will. I think they still have an opportunity to trade some players, because they have other players that are ready to step in my perspective. So, you think about the wide receiver core. Marvin Mims is best wide receiver. Why not try and get something for one of the wide receivers, even if they're doing better at the break? I don't see the problem with it. Gary Fires coming in. Go Broncos. Thank you very much, Gary, for being here. Appreciate it. And I'm going to, Mr. Roush 05, double whammy, because teams aren't going to want a player that puts no effort, so they are hurting themselves as well. Yeah, this is the thing with Randy Gregory, though, and you're right. People don't want uh, don't want someone who won't put effort in. But the thing about Randy Gregory, if he goes to a contender, he's going to play. He's actually going to play back to his old self. He's probably going to make an impact. That's why I thought that it was strange that they couldn't get anything for him, because other teams, that need a pass rusher that can make an impact. Randy Gregory can do that if he's motivated, and if he is on a good team with better leaders around him, he probably will be. And so that's why I think a contender that picks him up might see some impact plays from him down the stretch, because he will be a little bit more motivated, because he has talent. Don't get me wrong, he has talent. It's just that's just up here that is the problem. His motivation is getting himself in trouble and getting injured. And then his injuries have also played a part in that. So yeah, it's unfortunate that they haven't gotten anything for him, but I think they could. I just people know that they're gonna release him. So why bother giving a draft pick at when he's probably going to be able to, pick a few teams that he wants to sign with. So, but the message is clear. Play up to your potential or be gone. And Michael's coming back in. I totally agree with you, Michael. Michael saying it's time for Zach Allen to play better football for the Broncos, especially after the Randy Gregory release. Yeah, I mean, he's been invisible. I have been so disappointed with his ability on game day in the regular season, especially since when I was at camp, he looked so good. He was just playing out of his mind. So what happened? Why was it just that was it that the Broncos offensive line is so bad that he looked good in the preseason or something, or in training camp? I don't know. It's weird, but you're right. He has got to step up, because if he doesn't, I mean, this is another terrible signing, right? Letting Draymond Jones go, replacing him with Zach Allen, and then Zach Allen flopping. And I don't think it's a scheme thing either. I've seen him going one-on-one with offensive linemen and just getting manhandled. So it's not just scheme and Vance Joseph's defense. I think it has a lot to do with Zach Allen, and he needs to play better. He just does. Roy Osborne's coming in talking the same thing about McGlinchey. Yeah, two signings that have so far disappointed, and it's unfortunate, but they've got to step up and play better. They just have to. They've got, earning that money, they have to. Ant's coming in. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate the support. Ant says Broncos need to make a trade and get someone on D. That's an interesting point of view. Go out and trade to get somebody. I'm curious to think about who that could be, and is that counterproductive to what they really need to do, which is get rid of some players so that they can get younger and cheaper, so they can bring in other players. So after this season, I think they can go out and get some vet defensive players to fill in some spots. But unless they completely turn this thing around, it's not looking like they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, it's going to be quite a turnaround for them to make the playoffs. So would it make more sense to trade someone like Justin Simmons on the defense to go and get some draft capital so that they can bring in somebody younger? And I know there's a lot of talk out there about tearing it down to the studs, getting rid of everybody, and starting all over. Well, I mean, you can't rebuild a team with just a bunch of rookies. It requires, you got to have a vet mix in there. You got to hang on to your young core players like Pat Surtain that are going to be, key going forward. So from my perspective, you move on from these players that have a bigger contract, who are kind of reaching the end of their prime, so to speak, like Justin Simmons. He can go help somebody somewhere else. You get something for him, but he's not going to be in your future plans, so to speak. You move on from people who are underperforming their contracts. So Randy Gregory is a perfect example of that, right? He was underperforming what his pay said that he should be performing. So you move on from those folks, but you keep players like Surtain. Even Jerry Jeudy is kind of on the fence for me. I know that he's out popping off on social media, and even though he with Rod Smith and even though he's struggling so far. But someone like that may be in the future plans, maybe not. I'm not sure, but I don't know. I don't know who you would go out and get right now to make this D so much better that people are willing to part with. And if they are, it would be a massive trade. And I don't think I don't think the Broncos have the draft capital to do that or want to do that. So, but it is a good thought. Like, can they bring somebody in that's going to help the team? Now, Randy Gregory's gone, but Baron Browning's going to come back. And I like Baron Browning. He can't stay healthy, but I like his athleticism. I like how he plays. So I hope that he kind of steps into that role and the edge rushing group gets that much better. Now, Joey LaGuardia is coming in with a compliment to Elway, which most people are are talking about how bad he was, and he's the reason for all this. But he says, what I liked about Elway, he brought in great quality free agents. We need to build off the rookies, but yes, need some veteran leadership to add. Absolutely. Yeah, bring in some leadership who knows how to win, right? That's why I was happy with, even though it's a fullback, Burton came in, he has a championship pedigree. Bring people in like that can, get that winning mentality back. And I'll tell you, I think Elway gets he gets a brunt of a lot of criticism, but he was able to bring in some quality free agents, and he had good early drafts that kind of filled in the roster well. And his biggest mistake was he couldn't find a quarterback. And my opinion, if you go to the root of the problem from why the Broncos are so bad, it all started with Brock Osweiler going to Houston. I think had he not gone to Houston for that money and stuck around, I think that the Paxton Lynch thing wouldn't have happened. I think they might have even got to the playoffs in 2016 with Gary Kubiak and Brock Osweiler. I think that, that would have maybe kept Kubiak around for another year before he kind of left for health reasons and things like that. So I think that if you look back to the impetus of this whole thing, it was Brock Osweiler going to Houston. So it's interesting, but we are where we are now, watching this team struggle and Broncos, they've got to do something. And you're right. They have to go out and get some real quality leadership, because there's leaders on the team, but not the right kind of leaders right now. So. And Roy Osborne's coming in and says, I believe if we had good edge rushers, that would help the interior defense. Yeah, I'm happy with Benito. I think he's made strides. Now, is he, he's not Von Miller-esque, so you're right. But I'm talking about, I watched Zach Allen. He doesn't seem to be beating his man one-on-one even so. So he needs to start, beating his man one-on-one. Before we get to start pointing fingers at you needing someone to be double teamed on the outside. I just haven't seen Zach Allen do it, but you're right. The better edge rushers does help the interior D, but the interior D needs to get that push and get to the quarterback, right? I just haven't seen that much from Zach Allen, and he needs to be the star. So he needs to step up. And, both are going to be complementary to each other for sure. But Zach Allen needs to beat his one-on-ones, right? He needs to go out there and be able to take on one single blocker and beat him and get in there. So. All right. Well, thank you for being in the chat. I'm going to go look and see what we've got. Got some others in here before I end the show, but Michael Ronquillo's coming in to say, great show today. Thomas on Legends of Mile High. Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate it. Before I go, I just want to leave you all with a thought. I've been talking about Tom Nalen and his Hall of Fame candidacy. He's a nominee right now, so it would be nice to make sure people are out there talking a little bit about Tom Nalen. So if you're out there on social media, throw out your thoughts on Tom Nalen, whether you think he belongs in the Hall of Fame or not. I've been doing a video series with evidence for why he belongs in the Hall of Fame, so check that out. But let's get some talk on, because they're gonna whittle this down to the semifinals here pretty soon. So probably end of October is likely, or maybe into November is when they do that. I'm not quite sure, but let's get some buzz for Tom Nalen. Also, one last reminder, Mile High Huddle meet and greet, Green Bay Packers game, week 7. Come out, check it out. We'll be out there. More details to follow. So I'll just say thank you so much for being in here with me today. I really appreciate the support and I really appreciate the conversation. So thank you, and I will see you all next week for sure. But don't forget about the other podcasts out there, right? I mean, we've got some good ones out there. I'm on 3 right now. So Orange and Blue View on Saturday, a pregame show. Broncos, we're digging deep into the specifically to the Broncos, so it's a little bit more informative than some of these national shows. And then also Luke Patterson and I do Mile High Insiders on Wednesday night. Don't forget to check that out, where we talked about the Randy Gregory thing this last week. So check it out. Check out our articles and give Tom Nalen some support. Joey LaGuardia, thumbs up for Tom Nalen. Excellent center who didn't get his due for sure. He's not often thought about, but he is definitely worthy of the Hall of Fame. Michael Ronquillo, Nalen for Hall of Fame. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody being here. Have a great day, and look for our predictions coming out today, and then also check out the pregame on Saturday night. So thank you very much. Have a great day. Appreciate you all, Broncos fans.